so now we're going to start comparing and contrasting what we have to what they have. We're going to start by talking about how the groups came together initially. So actually, I don't know a whole lot about this for the American hacker culture. I think 2600 Magazine started in 1984, and the meeting started sometime shortly afterwards. The magazine, of course, is run by one person, Emmanuel Goldstein, out of New York. And his idea is that, any meeting that happens between hackers in a public space on Friday, the first Friday of every month at 5 p.m. is a 2600 meeting. And pretty much anything else that happens in the hacker community outside of that is not considered 2600, according to Emmanuel. So this is basically the beginnings, the baseline of our hacker culture, and everything else is built up from that. Of course, there were some cons before then, and the cons have always been sort of separate but equal from the 2600 scene. They borrow from each other a whole lot. So that's what we mean by top to bottom and bottom to top. We started with this very loose, basic ideal, and everything that we have in our culture is built up from that. And this is sort of the opposite is what happened in the CCC.
Yeah. The CCC was founded after an article in a left-wing paper in Germany. Most of the people, when it was founded, were from Hamburg. At that time, Germany was divided. And they decided to meet up in the so-called Redaktion of the, I need to excuse for my English, for the Tagesspiegel. Maybe who of you have been in Germany? This is really, the main left-wing publishing. So the first meeting was in Berlin. The first city where they really had a small kind of organization was in Hamburg. After that, the German CCC was founded. It began with after Berlin and founded. So we had then two. Then they started the magazine. I think somewhere in 1909 something they started the radio called Chaos Radio in Berlin, the most famous one, which is on a commercial broadcast main station in Berlin. So not like all the other hacker radios, on a more smaller radio station, but on nearly the biggest station in Berlin. And yeah, then all the people came in, wrote mail to the CCC and said, well, I'm in Stuttgart, I'm in Karlsruhe, I'm in Bielefeld, which is a city that does not exist. I'm whatever, and they started up building Chaos Traf there, writing to the main organization saying, I want to do this. And well, you show up on the Congress then, and after time you get someone promoted to Erfa-Kreis, where when you're Erfa-Kreis you can officially say, we are the CCC, which is a big thing in Germany just to say that. Well, and so it grew up to, I think, somewhere about 4,000 members at the moment, real members. The scene itself is much bigger because very many people say, well, I really like the CCC and I like the things they do, but I don't want to be really member at the moment because the $2 or €2 a month is just too much money for me. It's really the main reason.
I spent about 6 weeks, about 2 weeks, 2 months total in Germany last year, and I met so many people involved with the hacker scene out there. I would say that they were more involved than the average people that you meet here, and maybe 15% of them were actually members. So,
jobs,
well, they have state healthcare and state college. So, in my experience, most of them are students. But
very many students, and in Germany, it's a good thing to say I'm in the CCC, so you usually get good jobs. So at our university, the main administration students are all from our local Chaos Traf.
We'll talk about that in a second, though. Do you want to talk briefly about the other hacker organizations in Europe?
In Europe?
In Europe. THC, the Netherlands.
Yes, I would start with the Netherlands. Those are the people who, for historical reasons, as we invaded them, couldn't call themselves the CCC. Most of them call themselves Hippie from Hell. They're mainly a pot-smoking group of people throwing big cons once a year and big camping events every 4 years, doing really good work.
And still significantly more organized than us.
Yes. And they use the same infrastructure as the CCC on many things. So we are very close together. Those people helped out with our network where we build up at our cons, and we do a lot of the work at What the Heck, which is a con in the Netherlands, the big meeting, and it's a camping thing, and well,
THC.
so it's really close.
Finally. THC, finally.
THC, finally. We have 3 groups in Germany who mostly overlap in persons with the CCC, but they do some people call hardcore stuff. You maybe heard of THC. You have maybe used some tools from them, like Hydra, the scanner, and Arma, the
THC is the hacker's choice, just in case there's any confusion out there.
Yes.
Oh, and in case we didn't say it, CCC, Chaos Computer Club.
Yeah.
Any other acronyms we haven't explained?
We'll try to explain them.
All right, okay.
They are those guys who write many tools, write security exploits. Then we have Phenoelite, who don't write that much tools, but are exploiting much more. They blow up BlackBerry between the years. Maybe you've heard of that. Last year they blow up the SAP data warehouse system, where you usually have a website where you can log into an application server and log into
Not
the
really
database
blowing
server.
up, but... Okay, so how we came together initially, all of the different scenes are
Then we have
different. Oh, sorry.
Team Teso, which is a bit not so active at the moment, but they're also one of those guys who just write the tools.
So there's like a symbiosis over there. The people who are so hardcore that they want to be part of things like THC and Phenoelite don't really have a problem with organizations like the CCC, although they sort of are separate but equal, sort of in the same way that our con circuit is different than 2600.
There are usually no people from THC or Phenoelite or Team Teso who don't come to the conferences from the CCC because they don't like the CCC.
So they do come. As we've been talking about it, one of the other major differences that we've noted between the American hacker scene and the European hacker scene is our events, our cons. They call some of theirs congresses, conferences,
The big one.
whatever you want to call it. So I think in the American scene we have significantly more events than they do, and we have to travel farther for them. We have a state in the United States that's as big as Germany, so we have to do a lot more traveling. The cons, I think, here are not just CCC events or one of the other groups' events. They're organizations that come from different people individually in different places. So, as you know, people like Jeff Moss run DEF CON. People like Froggy here run Nauticon. People like Emmanuel Goldstein run HOPE. And these people are not totally connected with one another. They're not part of the same organization. So this is a good thing in the sense that the cons that we do have all have their really unique characters, and they're really sort of different from one another. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Mainly the people organizing the cons in Germany all belong to the same group, CCC. And you are on nearly every con you have the CCC Stuttgart, CCC Rhein-Main, or whatsoever in the name of the con. We have about 5 to 6 who are there every year. The biggest one is the Congress, which is about 2,500 to 3,000 people. 16 gigabit of internet, phone system, radio system, what else? Lots of stuff.
Everything. But we can boast that our conferences are sometimes much larger than yours. I think we could say that fairly that DEF CON is twice the size of the annual big Congress in Berlin. They do have small events like this event, but I think we have more larger events, and we can talk about why that might be later.
Well, we can live with that really good because our country is not even half the size of America, so if you have double the size of people in your con, it's okay for us.
So, if you were to pick the single biggest difference, I think, between the American hacker scene and the European hacker scene, It really boils down to this one thing. And this one thing is public image. When you go to Germany and you hang out with people in the CCC and you read about their projects, you realize that they are much more loved by the public. They are loved by the public. They're in constant communication with their government. They have good jobs. They don't have to be ashamed of telling their grandmother that they're in the CCC. They don't have to have any really big discussions about it because it's in the media, it's in the public, and this is basically the opposite of what we have here. So I think that if you ask somebody in the media what a hacker is, he's probably going to say a criminal of some kind or another. People who steal your credit card, or people who break into phone systems, or people who do whatever. So I think that this attitude is really, really, really key to the reason that our cultures are different. I think that it changes the demographic of the people who are in the scene, because people who are there are, it's a good thing for them to be in the scene. It's a good thing for them to get a job. And they put on their resume, I'm a proud member of the CCC. This is something that we have to skirt around, I think, most of us, depending on your job. So it changes the demographic. It changes the way that we're able to organize and the kind of events that we're allowed to throw. As you know, many of these cons have had to move from place to place, right? Because they're unwelcome at certain places after a while. Some of you might remember Rubicon, no longer. For example, I think I already talked about CCC for you. Do you want to say anything more?
Talk about what's coming
No, we already did that.
from. Okay.
Projects.
Projects. Well,
For example, in this public image thing, why don't you tell us about Hack-A-Bike?
Hack-A-Bike. Yeah, Hack-A-Bike was, we have these bicycles in the city in Germany who are run by the German Rail. You can call out a number with your mobile phone written on the bike. You get a PIN code saying them the number of the bike. You get a PIN code for the bike and can drive away with the bike and just leave it somewhere else. So as there's electronics in there, we thought that could be interesting. So we got one, opened it. It was an Amtel board in there, which got a serial port. So we were able to change the firmware, and we implemented a code 2342 running at all the time. So you need to get up to a bike, modify it, and enter 2342. We changed with that about 1/3 of the bikes available in Germany. We just rented a white transporter, got a big printer German Rail, called a bike technical service on, got to the fan shop of the German Rail, bought those nice blue things, printed those cards you have with your picture and where you work, touch it on there, go to the railway station and open all of them there. And the security came up and asked, what do I do? And you always say, well, we're a technical service and we had the job to come here. And they said, okay, well, all looks good. Go. This went for about 1.5 years. After that, it was not so easy to still keep it undercover, so it went up to the media. We decided to publish it in the Datenschleuder, which is our magazine. Shortly, the boss of the German Rail said on the media on the evening, as he was asked about that, yeah, we'll go to the police with them. So we cleaned up our room, moved all our garbage into all computer cases, wrote some things like, very important, call a bike data on them, and let them all get picked up by the police. There was nothing coming after that. We don't got in trouble for that.
So this is a very funny example, but why don't you tell them about what happened with the German Rail afterwards? Mm-hmm. There was a lawsuit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's how I heard things. Because of all of this Hack-A-Bike nonsense, the German Rail waited for a significant amount of time after all of this came to the media to place a lawsuit against the CCC for this. And the reason is because they were afraid that public opinion